Good morning, everybody. I hope that you have enjoyed your weekend, especially because we had Valentine's Day. I hope that you have been in, well, you were in a good company and you have received presents, but most importantly, that you could share time with the people that you really care about, people that you love, people that you care about. So anybody wants to tell me if you did something interesting over the weekend? Something unusual that you did over the weekend? Anybody who wants to share with us? Good morning to all people who is saying
Good morning. I'm in the
morning.
beach. I'm in the beach.
You went to the
Yeah.
beach. Which
No,
one?
I am.
Right now. You're at the
Yeah.
beach. Well, I envy you. So why are you in class if you're enjoying the landscape, the water, the sand, the sun?
Cause I'm responsible.
Well, I see that you're extremely responsible because you may be enjoying yourself. Well, you will
Yeah.
enjoy this class, I betcha. All right. Anybody else? Not really. Maybe special dinner, said Diana. Okay, good to share. Thank you. So Epic, said Brandon. Epic, maybe because Rodriguez was the one who's talking, right? I just see your last name, and she's at the beach right now. Brandon said that he just had some pizza, homework. Said Tatiana, just homework. Come on. I bet you have time to enjoy yourself and celebrate Valentine's. I don't know if you have Valentine's or not, but you're too young for that. And but you have special friends close to you. Nowadays, you have to remain distant from them. That was a great opportunity to catch up a little bit. So today is a special day because we're gonna cover the first topic from the Spotlight on Literature. And I hope that you cooperate me here. I need you help me here. So this class is gonna be going spontaneously and easy, and it will be a very learningful class. All right. I just want to share the class, the agenda for today. Let me see. There we are. So like I said, the first topic on your Spotlight on Literature book is Around the World in 80 Days, but we're gonna read just chapter 20. Well, it is impossible to understand chapter 20 of this novel if we don't go over the plot, the summary of this plot, and also to see who the characters in this chapter are. We're gonna read some descriptions of them so you can get familiar to the story. But first, I want you to reflect a little bit on the school tagline or the school motto. So you have heard it many times with different words. The other one is men and women for others, but also there's a hashtag going on the social network, especially on Twitter, is siempre más para los demás. But in English, you're not familiar to that tagline in English, so that's why I wrote it in both languages. So always more for others. That would be the perfect translation for that motto, the school motto. And I want you to think just for a couple of minutes about what it really means, what these words really mean to you and in reality in our society. I will hear two or three participations and then we're gonna move to the topics. Please, two or three opinions about.
Uh,
Mhm.
hey, teacher.
Please.
I think that we can do more for the people that need us. So when someone, even when I'm going to give an example. When
Mhm,
you're in your house
mhm,
and then you bring food or something and you're eating with your siblings in the kitchen or in your bedrooms, if you eat there, I don't know. But then you go and left your plates and everything in the dishwasher,
mhm.
but then your siblings don't, and your mom comes and tell you to do it, and you say, but that is not mine. Then you could just take those dishes and put it in the dishwasher, but
Uh,
we only want to do what we have to do, not what we can do, you know. So we always can do better and more to help other people, even if they're not like the same as us, but we can try, you know.
yeah. Yeah, thank you very much. So what you're saying is true. Sometimes that really happens with the garbage. You see, sometimes the school is kind of dirty. You see some litter all around, and someone asks you, "Hey, could you please pick up that paper? Can you pick up that bag?" And you said, "Well, I didn't throw it out." So and you can set an example by doing something that probably is not your responsibility to fix, but because you want to be more, I mean, you want to give something to the others and set an example, you can do it without any kind of problems. And that happens at home, right? When someone doesn't wash her own dishes, or even easier, just to put it in the right place. So you said, no, but this is not my dish. This is not my sheet, the cover of my bed, you know. And so those things happen. And I think that it was a great example. Thank you very much. So anybody else who wants to say something about the school tagline? I'm all ears.
Me, teacher.
Please. Who said me?
For me, it is not difficult for you to help people with small or simple things.
Mhm. It is, it isn't, it is
That's it.
easy. So you
That's it.
said, okay, thank you. So anything else? Anybody else? The last one? Nobody else? So I just want you to think out that this phrase, this motto is really deep. I mean, it sounds very simple and it can be done by achieving a simple task, but also from your position, from your occupation, for your profession, you can give yourself to others in different ways. So let me see, someone is, I'm sorry, teacher, the trust is that I almost can understand what an English level says is very bad. Oh, okay. I will try to speak a little bit slower so you don't get lost. And so I was saying that this tagline sounds kind of simple, but it's not. I mean, to give yourself to others, for others, is not that easy, especially when you are out there, when you are out there in real life, in society, and it's not easy because you think of yourself. Sometimes you do your job just to get a salary, but consider that everything that you have learned to do in the university or whatever, it must be for help. It must be useful for other people, not just for your own interest. I mean, if you become a lawyer, if you become a doctor or a teacher, you got to remember that everything that you do um, must be to help other people. And this is what the founder of the school, the founder of this project, really meant when he started this project, that it became massive. When he started, he didn't have any idea how massive this project was going to be. And then you can see it in that picture. You see it. The school is massive. It's an empire, right? All right. Now let's move to today's agenda. Okay, we're gonna read author's notes because it is impossible to understand a book without knowing something about the author. We're gonna study some characters, the characters that appear not in the whole story because it's a huge novel, but the characters of chapter 20. I'm gonna give you an oversight of the summary of the story in general because you need to understand what is going on here so you can get all the details, all the particulars of chapter 20. And then hopefully if we have time, we're gonna listen and read, not the story, but just the chapter. And by the way, I sent you a link with that audio so you can hear it as many times as you can at home in your free time. All right, questions about agenda? All right, no questions, I bet.
No, teacher.
Thank you so much. Let me see. The author, that's the guy. So if you have your books, at hand, the spotlight, you have to open it to page 10. If you have it, if you have your book, open it.
Page number 10, right?
10, yeah, please. You have the author's oversight there. He is the famous and well-known, remarkable Jules Verne. Jules Verne. Good morning, Luciana. All right, let me see. Here we have some information about this guy. So anybody please who help me with the first paragraph? Please, please, please. Anybody,
And me.
please.
Okay. The French novelist Jules Verne, 1828 to 1905, was the first authentic exponent of modern science fiction. The best of his work is characterized by intelligent predictions of technical achievements within man's grasp at the time Verne wrote.
Thank you so much. So I'm gonna be honest with you. I am an avid reader, but I'm not really into Jules Verne. I always consider myself, and this is my opinion, this is a personal title, I don't like his novels because I consider them boring because the way he used to write. But this is my opinion. But this man has been well known all over the world for a fascinating fact. And I really mean it when I say a fascinating fact. This man has a huge imagination that in his novels, he presented technology that didn't exist in his times. And it says right there, his predictions of technical achievements. In his novels, which I haven't read by the way, he mentioned it, technology beyond imagination in his times. So now maybe the things that he had describing his books maybe look old-fashioned, junky, but in his times, it was amazing because that guy had an imagination and that's why he is considered the father of science fiction. So he's a great novelist. It's not really my taste. I don't really enjoy reading Jules Verne, but he's a great guy. He was outstanding. And who else wants to continue with the second paragraph, please? Anybody with the second paragraph? Maybe, I'm on her microphone. Anybody wants to help me, please? Hello?
And I can participate.
Of
I
course.
start. In Jules Verne. Yes.
Yeah, please, please.
Okay. Jules Verne was the eldest son of a prosperous provincial lawyer, and otherwise unfaithful child who was married by a major escape. Um, is this 12th year you ship him as a cabin boy on the ongoing trimester. The ship was intercepted by the father before it had put out to sea, and Jules is said to have promised his parents that in future he will travel only in imagination and prediction fulfill in managing his parent could not have forcing.
Thank you so much. So there's a little bit about his childhood. He is the eldest son of a lawyer, but a provincial lawyer. And he got an eventful childhood, and it was marked by a major escapade. It says when he was 12, he shipped as a cabin boy on an ocean-going trimester. The ship was intercepted by his father before it had put out to the sea. So he didn't sail, and he said that he was only going out only in his imagination, and he had no idea how this course was going to be embraced by this guy. All right, let's see. Then we're gonna move to the characters. In chapter 20, we have 5 characters, very important characters. Some of them are the main ones in the whole plot, but right now we're gonna read a little bit about Phileas Fogg, Passepartout, Detective Fix, Auda, which is an Indian name, and John Bunsby. Let me see, teacher. I have an error, but went by in the book gave me another English book for second year of high school. Oh, okay. So, Emmanuel, keep the book, and if you have the bill, keep it and go or call to the school so they can replace it. They can give you the right one. Okay, Emmanuel Cortez. All right, thank you for letting me know that. Error no exists, a mistake. Come on, Kevin. Okay, it's a mistake, right? Okay, so then we have the characters here. He is the main character of the story. He is Phileas Fogg. He is the main character. He is for sure in chapter 20, and everything in the plot goes around this guy. So I need 2 volunteers, please. Please. 2 volunteers to help me with this guy's information.
Me, teacher.
Please, and you read the first 3 points.
Okay. Phileas Fogg, a wealthy gentleman of 40, an extremely meticulous man who thrives on routine, stickler for punctuality.
Thank you so much. He was in his 40s, even he looks older in the picture. He was rich, meticulous. Meticulous means that he pays attention to every detail. He's very careful. He is punctual. Okay, so then another one to read the last 3. Anybody, please.
Teacher,
Please.
the last 3 facts.
Yes, determined.
Okay. Determined to win
Wager.
the wager, practical, travel light, calm and collected, never panics despite the many advertises they faced.
Thank you so much. So he is determined to win. And he says, mention a wager. A wager is a bet. And the bet is what starts this story. Says also that he is practical and always travels light. And no matter how difficult the situations look, he remains calm. Wow. Then he got a servant. Remember that rich people got servants, and he is Jean Passepartout. Passepartout is French. I think this is the way it is pronounced. Jean Pas, Pas, Passepartout. Passepartout. Anybody who help me, please, and read the whole stuff? Please.
Me,
Okay.
a newly hired butler to Fogg, somewhat mirrors Fox's characteristics of being precise, contented, and eager to please his masters, protective of Fogg and defends his honor, and trustworthy. He could be trusted with Fox, and I can pretty
Ah, money.
be trusted with Fox money.
Thank you so much. All right, you see the characteristics of the loyal servant. He is new in his vacancy, a new hired butler to Fogg. Sometimes he's precise as well as Phileas Fogg. He is eager to please his master. That means he is loyal and he does everything that he is asked to. Protective to defend his master's honor, and he can be trusted with his master's money. A good characteristic for a servant. Auda, the romantic interest in the story. Anybody who wants to help me out here?
Me,
Please.
uh, a Persian Indian princess who was rescued by Fogg, shares the adventures of the duo, grateful for the kindness extended to her, cares for Fogg and
That's part two.
as expert,
Yeah, it's difficult.
but later comes to love Fogg.
You see the romantic interest. So during the journey, because remember these guys, Passepartout and Fogg, travel all around the globe. And they step by or stop by in India, and they met this woman in the moment that she was gonna be, I don't know, I remember that she was gonna be sacrificed or buried alive with his late husband, because according to tradition, when the husband dies, he has to be buried with all of his possessions, and Auda was one of his possessions. So she has to be buried with this man, but I don't really know because I didn't read the chapter, that is if she was going to be sacrificed or just put it inside the tomb with her husband, and then Passepartout and the other guy, Fogg, rescue her from an imminent death. And at the end of the story, they fall in love, and I don't know if they live forever together and ever happily ever after. I don't really know.
So
Detective
happy
Six.
together, teacher.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I haven't read the story, but just care about chapter 20. All right, Detective Fix, the last main character of the chapter. Anybody who wants to help me out?
Me.
Please.
A short man with small eyes and bushy? How do you pronounce that?
Bushy.
Bushy, okay. Eyebrows that twitch constantly. By the way, what means bushy?
Bushy is bushes. It comes from the word bush. Bush is a kind of tree. Arbustos, and the adjective bushy is like he got a lot of eyebrows. I mean, they're
Okay,
thick.
okay.
Uh-huh.
Okay, thanks. Well, a detective who's hot on the trail of folks whom he thinks robbed the Bank of England, persistent, doubly follows Fogg,
Passepartout.
Pespartout, and Aura around the world. Materialistic follows Fogg around the world only because there's a reward.
Well, thank you so much. This might be the antagonist. Even this one is not a bad guy because he's a detective. He is just doing his duty. He thinks he has made a mistake. He got a confusion. He thinks that this guy Fogg is a guy who had robbed a bank in England. You know, those typical identity confusions. They're very common in El Salvador, right? They arrest you because you look like somebody else and you're not. But anyway, so Detective Fix is searching to put Fogg behind bars because he thinks that he have robbed a bank in England, and he just can't arrest him. He can arrest him because he doesn't have a warrant. He's waiting for a warrant to come from England. Remember that they are all around the globe, and this guy has no jurisdiction unless he receives that warrant from the authorities in England. But he's chasing Phileas Fogg around the world. And at the end, I think that he arrested him. But in chapter 20, no, nothing really happens. All right, then around the world in 80 days plot. So like I said, how could you pretend to understand chapter 20 if you don't have the big picture? So you really need a big picture here, which is the summary of the plot. So why are these guys around the world? Why in 80 days? And all those questions come up when you will start reading. Let me show you this. Okay, I'm gonna need some help, and then I'm gonna read by myself because the time is a factor here. Teacher, one of my classmates need to get into the class, but she doesn't. Let me see. But I have no one in the waiting room.
Teacher,
Hello?
excuse me. After the finish the class, you can return to the character of the fall for the Phileas fall and the first because I don't
Teacher,
got
Read.
it.
I'm sorry, but
Oh yes,
It
yes.
is.
in the chat they say that there's people out, and I don't know if, before you continue with the sharing screen, you can let them in. Thanks.
Okay. Okay, yeah, but I'm seeing right now. I'm checking the waiting room and nobody's there.
Then whatever, continue. I'm sorry.
No, don't be. Thank you very much for letting me know. The thing is that I'm checking and I see nobody there. That's the thing. But you can interrupt me if someone wants to get in because the class is for you. All right, that is
Teacher,
Phileas Fogg. Tell me.
do we have to copy that?
Well, no. Remember that this video is gonna be on YouTube, and you can also get some screenshots. So it's just information that you really need. I mean, you really need this information, but you don't have to take notes. I mean, you have the book, you will have the video, and also screenshots. All right, then
Teacher,
let's move. Well, tell me.
no. Yeah, I say that you pass the page because I copied. Uh, I will copy.
Okay, but
Yes.
okay. Phileas Fogg is a rich British gentleman living in a solitude. Despite his wealth, he's been rich, but he is not happy. He lives a modest life. Who does that? This guy is rich. This guy is full pockets, and he lives a modest life with habits carried out with mathematical precision. That means he's cheap. Very little can be said about his social life other than he is a member of the Reform Club. So you really need to pay close attention to this fact that he is a member of the Reform Club. And why is that, teacher? Because there is where the idea of travel around the world in 80 days starts. At the Reform Club, Phileas Fogg gets involved in an argument over an article. He was reading the article in the Daily Telegraph, a very famous newspaper in those years. And the newspaper said, or the article said, that with the opening new railroad section in India, it was possible to travel faster around the world. It's like in Europe right now, they have railways that can lead you to travel around Europe very fast. So in the morning, you can be in Italy. In the afternoon, you might be having lunch in Spain, for instance. But this is now. Then tell him I tried to open, but he wasn't at the door. But now I let somebody in. Diego Peña, thank you very much. I let someone in right now. It was a girl. I didn't read her name, but it was a girl. Okay, so then Phileas Fogg was very excited about this fact that you can travel the world in 80 days in this new railway in India. And he accepted a wager of 2,000 pounds. The equivalent in 2017 was 2,075,400 pounds. You see, it was half of his total fortune. from his
Teacher,
fellow globe.
you can repeat when you we can found the presentation
This
because I don't.
presentation, okay. This presentation is gonna be on video. It's gonna be in a guideline. It's gonna be on a Word document, and
Okay.
also in YouTube, and in here, because the video is gonna be on YouTube as well. So there are many ways that where you can find this.
Okay, thanks, teacher.
All right. Tell him I tried to, okay, teacher, Rene is not a girl, but it's okay. It was Rene. Sorry, I didn't read the name. Okay, he accepts the wager. You can see the equivalent of the wager in 2017 is a lot of cash. The guys in the Reform Club said to Fogg, you cannot travel the water in 80 days. But Fogg insisted, and I can prove it. And he bet half of his total fortune to show them that he was able to do it. Then Passport 2 accompanying him, Fox departs from London by train at 8:45 p.m. or 45 after 8 in October 2nd. In order to win the wager, he must return to the club by the same time on December the 21st. In other words, 80 days later. So you see, the beginning of the book is amazing. It's so fascinating. So like I said, I'm gonna pass this slide. You can get some screenshots. You will see the video. You will have the guidelines. So don't worry. All right, now it is time to hear the chapter. Because this teacher, are you going to give us a detailed task? Yeah, I will, Rebecca, I will. And this information is gonna be of great help after we read the chapter. Right now, it's not gonna be like, I don't understand, teacher. That's why I need to have you listening the story. I'm gonna stop sharing, and now let's hear the story. Just give me a second.
Teacher,
Tell me.
we'll leave this presentation on the school page.
Yes, I will.
Thank
Okay,
you.
you're welcome. Now let me share the audio with you. Okay, share. Now, let me know if you see the gift around the world in 80 days. Can you see it?
Yes, teacher.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you. So now, if you have the book, you can read as you listen. If you don't have the book, just listen.
Around the World in 80 Days, Chapter 20, in which Fix comes face to face with Phileas Fogg.
Can you hear
by
it?
Jules Verne.
Can you hear it?
Yeah. Yes, we can.
Yes, teacher.
Thank you.
While these events were passing at the opium house, Mr. Fogg, unconscious of the danger he was in of losing the steamer, was quietly escorting Aouda about the streets of the English quarter, making the necessary purchases for the long voyage before them. It was all very well for an Englishman like Mr. Fogg to make the tour of the world with a carpet-bag. A lady could not be expected to travel comfortably under such conditions. He acquitted his task with characteristic serenity, and invariably replied to the remonstrances of his fair companion, who was confused by his patience and generosity. "It is in the interest of my journey, a part of my program," Had he been capable of being astonished at anything, it would have been not to see his servant return at bedtime. But knowing that the steamer was not to leave for Yokohama until the next morning, he did not disturb himself about the matter. When Passepartout did not appear the next morning to answer his master's bell, Mr. Fogg, not betraying the least vexation, contented himself with taking his carpet-bag, calling Aouda, and sending for a palanquin. It was then 8 o'clock. At 9:30, it being then high tide, the Carnatic would leave the harbor. Mr. Fogg and Aouda got into the palanquin, their luggage being brought after on a wheelbarrow, and half an hour later stepped upon the quay whence they were to embark. Mr. Fogg then learned that the Carnatic had sailed the evening before. He had expected to find not only the steamer, but his domestic, and was forced to give up both. But no sign of disappointment appeared on his face, and he merely remarked to Aouda, "It is an accident, madam, nothing more." At this moment, a man who had been observing him attentively approached. It was Fix, who, bowing, addressed Mr. Fogg. "Were you not, like me, sir, a passenger by the Rangoon which arrived yesterday?" "I was, sir," replied Mr. Fogg coldly, "but I have not the honor—" "Pardon me, I thought I should find your servant here." "Do you know where he is, sir?" asked Aouda anxiously. "What?" responded Fix, feigning surprise. "Is he not with you?" "No," said Aouda. "He has not made his appearance since yesterday. Could he have gone on board the Carnatic without us?" "Without you, madam?" answered the detective. "Excuse me, did you intend to sail in the Carnatic?" "Yes, sir." "So did I, madam, and I am excessively disappointed. The Carnatic, its repairs being completed, left Hong Kong 12 hours before the stated time, without any notice being given, and we must now wait a week for another steamer." As he said "a week," Fix felt his heart leap for joy. Fogg detained at Hong Kong for a week! There would be time for the warrant to arrive, and fortune at last favored the representative of the law. His horror may be imagined when he heard Mr. Fogg say, in his placid voice, "But there are other vessels besides the Carnatic, it seems to me, in the harbor of Hong Kong." And offering his arm to Aouda, he directed his steps toward the docks in search of some craft about to start. Fix, stupefied, followed. It seemed as if he were attached to Mr. Fogg by an invisible thread. Chance, however, appeared really to have abandoned the man it had hitherto served so well. For 3 hours Phileas Fogg wandered about the docks with the determination, if necessary, to charter a vessel to carry him to Yokohama. But he could only find vessels which were loading or unloading, and which could not, therefore, set sail. Fix began to hope again. But Mr. Fogg, far from being discouraged, was continuing his search, resolved not to stop if he had to resort to Macao, when a sailor accosted him on one of the wharfs. "Is your honour looking for a boat? Have you a boat ready to sail?" "Yes, your honour, a pilot boat, number 43, the best in the harbor." "Does she go fast?" "Between 8 and 9 knots the hour." "Will you look at her?" "Yes." "Your honour will be satisfied with her. Is it for a sea excursion?" "No, for a voyage." "A voyage?" "Yes. Will you agree to take me to Yokohama?" The sailor leaned on the railing, opened his eyes wide, and said, "Is your honour joking?" "No, I have missed the Carnatic, and I must get to Yokohama by the 14th at the latest, to take the boat for San Francisco." "I am sorry," said the sailor, "but it is impossible. I offer you £100 per day, and an additional reward of £200 if I reach Yokohama in time." "Are you in earnest?" "Very much so." The pilot walked away a little distance and gazed out to sea, evidently struggling between the anxiety to gain a large sum and the fear of venturing so far. Fix was in mortal suspense. Mr. Fogg turned to Aouda and asked her, "You would not be afraid, would you, madam?" "Not with you, Mr. Fogg," was her answer. The pilot now returned, shuffling his hat in his hands. "Well, pilot," said Mr. Fogg. "Well, your honour," replied he, "I could not risk myself, my men, or my little boat of scarcely 20 tons on so long a voyage at this time of year. Besides, we could not reach Yokohama in time, for it is 1,660 miles from Hong Kong. Only 1,600, said Mr. Fogg. It's the same thing. Fix breathed more freely. But, added the pilot, it might be arranged another way. Fix ceased to breathe at all. How? Asked Mr. Fogg. By going to Nagasaki at the extreme south of Japan, or even to Shanghai, which is only 800 miles from here. In going to Shanghai, we should not be forced to sail wide of the Chinese coast, which would be a great advantage, as the currents run northward and would aid us. Pilot, said Mr. Fogg, I must take the American steamer at Yokohama and not at Shanghai or Nagasaki. Why not? Returned the pilot. The San Francisco steamer does not start from Yokohama. It puts in at Yokohama and Nagasaki, but it starts from Shanghai. You are sure of that? Perfectly. And when does the boat leave Shanghai? On the 11th at 7 in the evening. We have, therefore, 4 days before us. That is 96 hours, and in that time, if we had good luck and a southwest wind, and the sea was calm, we could make those 800 miles to Shanghai. And you could go in an hour as soon as provisions could be got aboard and the sails put up. It is a bargain. Are you the master of the boat? Yes. John Bunsby, master of the Tankadere. Very well. In half an hour we shall go on board. But poor Passepartout, urged Aouda, who was much disturbed by the servant's disappearance. I shall do all I can to find him, replied Phileas Fogg. It was now 3 o'clock, and pilot boat number 43, with its crew on board and its provisions stored away, was ready for departure.
All right. Yeah, I see. I see, Nefer. It's true. And we finished. We finished the reading, and you have it. You have the listening. You have the audio that I sent to you. And it's time to go. Have a nice day. Thank you very much. And
Teacher,
if you have
Thank
any
you, teacher.
questions, you can send
teacher,
it to
excuse
me.
me.
Tell me.
Thank you, teacher. Bye.
Bye. Tell me.
Teacher, yes. What is the when where I searched this audio, because I don't know. I don't know if the
I
professor.
sent a link. I sent a link to your teachers, but I wanted to send it again. I want to send the link
Okay.
again, so don't worry.
For the chat, yes, or
Yeah,
in another.
through
Okay.
your teachers, because you have a WhatsApp group with them, right?
Okay.
A WhatsApp group with your teachers, so I will send it to them. All right, don't worry.
Thank you, teacher. Bye.
Bye. Have a nice day.
Thank you, teacher.